Hello, everyone. I am Ivan Savage, and this is the Peaceful Savage Show. Today, we live in a time when the many of our society are quick to jump on board with any kind of governmental conspiracy or elitist conspiracy. However, there are the many that are equally quick to dismiss any and all evidence to it. We live in the age of information, but it is also the age of misinformation and disinformation. The same people that are quick to jump on board with any kind of governmental conspiracy are also just as quick to dismiss any kind of religious one, when in fact, the misinformation and disinformation agendas are for one purpose and one purpose only: to keep the confusion that there is any kind of separation or difference between the two. For what is a government? But a faction, an oligarchy or monarchy, in most cases, of people who write and enforce laws, just like the 613 that Yahweh had given to us. This conspiracy, or so-called, is not any kind of new development. It has plagued humanity since our antiquity, and it is what George W. called it in his State of the Union address: an ancient hope that must be fulfilled. The awareness of the pedophilia, rape culture, and just general unrighteousness within our so-called elite and government is coming to the forefront now. And evil, the evil in which is perpetrated against the growing poor and unwitting class, is increasing and expanding. We are finding out that these relationships and friendships of these people are founded on the mutual destruction of extortion as they jockey and control for position. We live in a time filled to the brim with difficult choices. We are faced with really, really tough decisions each and every single day. And sometimes these decisions can seem selfish when in fact it is survival. Choices that demand discernment, the reasoning of knowledge, and the weighing of facts. Slowly, there are those of us that realize that we are all subject to equal opportunity destroyers, and our lords use us for whatever whim they desire without consequence in most cases. We are faced with decisions every day as to what to believe. The constant holes in their stories and the constant differences between the official story and the true one. We are witnessing what lengths the rich and powerful will go to keep their secrets, with Harvey Weinstein and Black Cube and his Mossad attacks on journalists and victims. The lengths these men and women will go to with Jeffrey Epstein, not to mention the menstrual rag they called the 9/11 Commission report. We all have witnessed the so-called conspiracies. The list of suicides and people randomly hit by cars is growing exponentially. We, the people, can afford no longer to be this naive. These powerful men will go to these great lengths to keep their rapes and molestations and pedophilia a secret. What do you think they'll do to keep the control over the prison of consciousness? We are witnessing more and more of this official story rhetoric with this coronavirus. COVID-19 has everyone scrambling to make sense of what to do, what information is the true story, what's really going on behind the scenes to stop this. Many trying to come up with conspiracies surrounding its outbreak and spread. To me, the whole thing stinks of Langley, but that is just my opinion and is really irrelevant to the general public. Who is profiting from it and how is irrelevant right now. When any disease has the capabilities of causing anyone to become ill enough to cause death, it needs to be taken seriously. This is not a government thing. This is not a government issue. This is an individual issue. It is an individual thing. Individual accountability and responsibility. Lives are at stake here, even if they are elderly and infirm. We are getting into a lot of the prophecies like Isaiah, Isaiah 8:12, some Jeremiah 11:9, Yehezkiah 22:25, that's Ezekiel, bringing into recollection Daniel 11:21 and Revelation 17:5, which comes and stems from Psalm 2:1. That very same thing talked about in 2 Thessalonians 2:6 and 7. and all the surrounding remarks before and after those specific points in the manuscripts. However, I don't want to come off as some type of preacher or anything like that. It is not who or what I am. If I had to label myself as anything, I'd say I'm a scholar and a student, a professor of sorts. Getting back to Isaiah 8:12, Yahweh says, "Do not call conspiracy all that this people will call conspiracy. Do not be in fear of what they reverence, nor be afraid." You see, fear is a fantastic uniter. Well, more of a hurting than anything else. Plato was correct. The easiest way to unite a state is to give them a common enemy, or more accurately, a common fear. Fear is also a magnificent subjugator. A fruitful silencer is that fear. Christianity, religion, and what is now called the Bible are the official story. God worship in general is the official story. But the original manuscripts say something completely different, and they do not contradict any of the other ancient texts. I do know that there are a lot of my scholar brothers and sisters out there that believe that Yahweh is Enlil. And I thought so too for quite some time. However, something kept bugging me. Something that I had to reason with. Something that logically didn't make sense. Who sent Galzu? In the ancient Sumerian tablets known as the Enuma Elish, Galzu visited Enki and Enlil, but it wasn't Anu who sent him. Galzu visited Enki to save Noah, or Ziazudra, Adrahasis. Galzu visited Enlil to save Abraham. Why did this confound them and vex them the way that it did? Who are the other 2/3 that didn't rebel? Our experiences within this reality often can cause our perceptions to be biased in many ways. The vast majority of people do not want the truth. They simply want reassurances that what they believe is the truth. We can also grow complacent in what we believe and understand. Complacency, though, is the murderer of love, and fear, the murderer of the expansion and growth of that love. Fear of the unknown can cause much denial in an individual. We can never mistake education for intelligence, but we should never underestimate the necessity of educating that intelligence. If what you believe contradicts what was originally written in these manuscripts, then you have to change your beliefs. You must change your belief. Thousands of years have been spent trying to change it. However, what was originally written is not going to change to suit your belief. The truth is the truth, whether you're knowledgeable of it or not. Whether you accept it or not, the truth remains, and reality remains no matter what you choose to focus on. There are aspects of this reality that are happening beyond your scope and perception. Ignoring it is the same as being ignorant of it. This is a chosen ignorance. I can only tell you what they originally said, what they have rendered it to, and why. I can only tell you the facts and show you the evidence. The choice to make sense of and reason with these truths is your own. For every consciously autonomous entity will wrestle with Yahweh. Acceptance and reasoning of the fact that the universe is conscious, and that the universe really doesn't like what has been going on, and the universe predicted it all thousands of years beforehand. These are the cycles of reasoning. This is the dabar of Yahweh, to bring all conscious entities into the understanding and reasoning of a righteousness within the consciousness. How could anyone truly know fear unless they have faced death and violence? How could any conscious being truly know love without experiencing and knowing true hate? The truth is that no species or organism can grow and expand without being stressed from all facets. This was all reasoned in the archetype long before the process of creation had ever begun. This all-pervading thought in the void that filled every space of the void became the dabar, the plan of Yahweh. Where there is contradiction, you see, there cannot be truth. I know that today's society is all about having your own truth, but this actually, logically, and reasonably destroys the very foundation of the term truth, thereby making it a lie. There cannot be two contradicting and conflicting truths, and either or both remain true. It is a comforting thought to comprehend nonetheless, but it is still a delusion of self. A belief in a lie still remains a lie, no matter how much you believe it. To see the proof, verifying it to be a lie, and dismissing it to remain in the comfort zone is the very definition of delusion. In Isaiah 45:5, Yahweh states, I am Yahweh. There is no other apart from me. There is no God, Elohim, gods. I will strengthen you with this knowledge, though you did not recognize that it was me. Yahweh goes on to say that He's the one that forms the light and the darkness, the one who creates peace and destruction, the one who hides Himself for those to seek Him, has reasoned this whole thing from the beginning and foretold all the former things from the beginning for us to understand why this must take place and who He really is, how to test and prove Him, the reasoning of righteousness, and why it is so important to the whole of the universe. For a consciously autonomous being to fully comprehend righteousness, it must endure, experience, and witness all manner of unrighteousness, evil. For it is a fool who looks upon the whole of creation and says to himself, there is no father to this. There is no creator of this. For in his ignorance he also says to himself, there is no consequence to this. Humanity has reached a point where it can no longer turn a blind eye to evil, tyranny, oppression, and murder. The rape and abuse and murder of the earth's children has gone on long enough. Humanity can no longer pretend that evil isn't present in this present darkness we are surrounded by in the cycles through the cosmos. Oh, you think because it is light outside that we can't be in one of the densest and darkest portions of the cosmos? You see, the Earth is very unique in her cycles. She is the only planet that dives this far down into density, darkness, which increases the illusion of separation. Remember, Yahweh said, there is no other apart from Him. He is the whole universe. You see, the Earth is very unique, man. She is the only planet, right? This dark, enthralling arena is unique to the universe, and mankind is magnificently unique to any other species. You can ask Drake about that possibility. The only reason the Earth has her spin, wobble, and revolution is because of the courses of each and every single other planet, star, solar system, and galaxy within the universe, each in their courses never transgressing. These cycles of orbits are never ending. These cycles will carry on throughout eternity, the end of one being the beginning of a new, the Great Awakening. I want to quote Jane Addams in her article, A New Conscience and an Ancient Evil, written in 1912, in which she quotes Lincoln, paraphrasing, "If blood were exacted drop by drop in measure to the tears of anguished mothers and enslaved girls, the nation would still be obliged to go into the struggle." She also states, the city, when aroused to the truth, would instantly rebel against the social evil in all its phases. The social evil she is talking about is the trading of children and young women for sex. Written over a century ago, citing a century before it, I can tell you this secret social evil is ancient. Found in the book of Lamech of Cain, found in the book of King Og of Bashan, where he writes, "These are the last and only words spoken by Og, the Rephaim, told to Anzal, the slayer of the smaller selves, before Baal." It is a common knowledge joke today that the ancient Greeks used boys for sex. The Romans did too. The Edomites, or descendants of Esau. She was not wrong in 1912 and still not wrong today. The rape and exploitation of women and children is still prevalent today. Make no mistake, This is a social evil that must be rooted out by the stem. The mind is in reason, and reason in the soul. Soul, the spirit, right? And the spirit in the body. In the words of Enoch, Hermes in the Greek, to his son Tot, see, son, how righteousness is fulfilled by access to the truth. For by this envy is gone from us. For truth is accompanied with righteousness, together also with life and light. You see how righteousness, truth, light, and life are all equated, universal. That access has been hidden by the violent who took it by force. You see how righteousness, man, truth, life, and light are equated together. That is because light is not a religion. Righteousness is not a religion. Life is not a religion. Reason is not a religion. Reason is the spirit, and religion is the official story. Reason is what divides light from darkness. Reason is the offspring of thought. The mind connects us all, and in the mind is no suffering but that which you create. The soul is the clothing of the mind, separated by the spirit into autonomy. The body is the clothing of the soul. Reason is that spirit. Substance, or the body, cannot bestow reason, for reason had ascended out of it. Everything within the universe is governed by a certain set of laws, and everything within the universe is a part or type of consciousness. Even plants have a soul and sustain themselves by their roots. The flowers that catch and eat flies have to be self-aware and conscious enough to know that a fly is on it in order to catch it. There are 7 governors of the 4 elements. It is established by the consciousness of the whole into individualities or types. The individual is merely part of the type. The individual man is mortal, but humanity is immortal. The right to life is yours, and in this country, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is yours as an individual. However, the right to a healthy and long life is up to the choices of the individual. These are the effects of causes. The immortality of humanity also rests within the choices of each and every single individual. Think of humanity as one woman, and each individual cell within a woman. Only you can choose whether or not you are cancerous. Just as each plant and star has its course and doesn't transgress the balance of the cycles that makes up the whole of the universe, we as individual cells have to bring reason and order to the seeming chaos for the process of growth and expansion for the whole. Humanity sits at a precipice of acceptance. Acceptance for the individual and the whole. The freedom of delusion and self-absorption has gone about as far as it can go. It is a fool who looks upon the earth and does not see calamity arising in all directions. It is a fool that looks upon the earth and another and sees not his brother but a stranger and a foreigner. A fool sees color rather than cousin. A fool is he who looks upon the earth and sees the karmic flow of destruction of these so-called gods and lords and politicians and says to himself, yes, yes, this must carry on. For his senseless mind is darkened, and compassion he has not for his distant brother. You see abomination of desolation. I see Baal Shamim, the Lord of heaven, the chief of these so-called gods, our slavers, who have us pitting brother against brother, daughters against mothers, and against all the fathers. Marduk, Bacchus, Baal, Molech, all the same entity. These Elohim that are no more or less capable of reason and righteousness than you are, turning children against their teachers, against knowledge and against wisdom. They aren't gods. Humanity must reason with its maker and reason righteousness. We must reason the hate away and reason the ignorance away. For soon comes death and soon comes sentencing. White stone or Gehenna? See, the end is not judgment. We are all being judged right now. The end is sentencing. Come and let us reason together. I will be coming out with some follow-up videos shortly. For more information and videos, hit that subscribe button and give us a like on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you do so feel inclined, leave a question or comment. I am Professor Savage, and this has been The Peaceful Savage Show. I love your faces.